Shalom. This is Hadassah Batsaiwa, returning with the book of Revelation, chapter 9. And we're going to look at the last three seals and the fourth trumpet. So far, what we have covered the seven assemblies. We explained all about the seven assemblies. We've also gone into we looked at the throne room, what's happening in the throne room, who's worthy to take the book of seals. We've looked at the four seals. But then there's a pause, because now we looked at the woman and the dragon. Because we know that the woman is the southern kingdom, and she is not going to be here for the fifth seal, because we know the fifth seal has to do with the martyrdom of the northern kingdom. And they are not awakened yet. They will be awakened when the southern kingdom is gone. The regathering of the southern kingdom is going to trigger the awakening of the northern kingdom. They're going to figure out something is up. These people that are gone, that have been taken in these chariots of fire and horses of fire, they're not spaceships, guys. Please. What you're hearing about, the UFOs or whatever they call them, the spaceships that you see with the lights and whatnot, they are not chariots, and they're not the machinery, the vehicle, not machinery, the vehicle through which Yahweh is going to gather his people. It's very clear in the scriptures and the Apocrypha. If you look and see how Hanawah was taken up, and how Aliyah, who is Elijah, was taken up. They were taken up in chariots. Now you know what a chariot looks like. It has two wheels and is pulled by horses. Okay? But these chariots are on fire. That's the glory of Aliyah. And they're pulled by horses of fire, which also is the glory of Aliyah. And who is going to drive these chariots will be his angels. So there are no spaceships, guys. Please. All right? Let yourselves not be deceived by the doctrine of devils. You go on and you hear about the chariots, and you see a UFO, you see a spaceship, and they're calling that the chariots of Aliyah, or the chariots of Israel, or the chariots of Yahweh. That's the doctrine of devils that have been planted in our minds to make us think that those unidentified flying objects are something extraterrestrial, when they're not. They were created by Nephilim, technology, and the agents of Satan, the earthly agents of Satan, are working together, and they're the ones that are flying these things in our skies and pretending, oh, we have some aliens flying in the sky. And then we have our brethren saying, oh no, those are our chariots that are getting ready to come and collect us. Well, obviously, our people are not reading the scriptures, because when the chariots come, or before they come, everything is going to go black. Everything in the earth is going to go black. You're not going to see the stars shining, a moon or a sun, no matter where you are. Something is shining, right? Either the sun or the moon. In some places, you see both. So everything is going to go black. And then you're going to see this brilliance in the sky, this cloud, And who is going to be carried on this cloud, who we know is Rawach HaQadash, is none other than the son of Alahayam, Yahawashawa'o HaMashiach. And he's going to light up the earth so that every eye above the earth and beneath the earth, the dead, are going to see him. Did he not say that in the scriptures? Every eye shall see him. And then he's going to cause the angel. In fact, before all that happened, there's going to be shaking. The earth is going to shake. Heavens are going to shake. And then he's going to sound the trumpet. Tell the angel, blow the trumpet. Get my people alerted. Because that trumpet is going to, the ones that are going to be regathered are going to run to the sound of the trumpet. And the ones that are not going to be regathered, they're going to run and hide. Remember what happened with our forefathers? When Alahayam came down upon the top of the mountain, Mount Sinai, to give our people the law. And he told them to keep themselves clean for 3 days. Don't go near your wives. Wash your clothes. Wash yourselves. And after 3 days, when I come down on the mountain and you hear the trumpet sounding loud and long, get ready to come up. But what happened to our people? They ran. They ran for the hills. Actually, no, they didn't quite. But they ran for their tents. They couldn't go up because their hearts weren't ready to receive the glory. You see, when you have idolatry in your heart, you cannot stand before the King of Glory. You'll die. So rather than to put away the idolatry in their hearts, they tell Moshe, go up, receive the law on our behalf, and come back and tell us what to do. And that's how it is with our people today. Because of idolatry in their hearts, they can accept spaceships, these unidentified flying objects, as chariots, because it doesn't bring any kind of fear in their hearts. And I'm talking about reverence, to know that I need to get myself right. And so they will gravitate towards fairy tales and Hollywood productions rather than the truth. But when this event takes place, and I've said this before and I will say it again, when this event takes place, only those that will be regathered will be drawn to Hamashiach, just like Masha and Yahawasha'o, who is Joshua, was drawn to the mountain to go up into the mountain. Similarly, only those whose hearts are ready, prepared to stand before the King of Glory will go. And who is left behind will be killed. There's no salvation for them. None whatsoever. If you're not gathered by the chariots. And let me tell you, while we're on our way out, the chariots are just going to appear. And as they're driving by, they're going to receive us into the chariots. That's how they did it with Hanawah and Aliyah. Go back and read about these people, how they were received. You think the chariots came and parked up on the beach or somewhere on the ground somewhere? No. As it is passing by, it receives you right into the chariot. You find yourself in the chariot. You're taken up into the chariot. It's not harpazo. It's not a rapture. But we're just taken up. We're gathered up. And then we're taken away. Now, I've said this before and about the beast that will come and pursue the woman, the dragon, which we know will be the UN. And I've said, yes, there's a 30 days. There are 30 days in which things are going to start escalating. And there's going to be persecution directed to the southern kingdom. Yes, there is. Yes, there will be. Now, this persecution would just simply mean that the southern kingdom is going to be sifted. The final sifting of the southern kingdom will be happening within these 30 days before she is received up in the chariots. Now, one of two things are going to happen. Possibly both. One thing that I've said this before, that the UN is going to come up with, another set of mandates, lockdowns, whatnots. But these are going to be stricter than what we had before. And something is going to trigger the persecution of the southern kingdom, which will cause us to decide. We will have a choice. Are we going to succumb to these mandates, or are we going to not succumb to them, not comply? And not complying could mean you losing everything that you have. Not your life, because if you do not comply and you give up whatever it is that they're going after, and they always go after your substance, right? Stop you from getting your money out of the bank, being able to purchase things. Because we know what they're coming up with now. They're pushing this digital currency. I know there's certain places that will not accept cash. Right? And they're pushing, all these different ways in which to remove physical money out of this world. Everything now is going to be digital. Okay. Now, how that could roll out, because we know that the true targets in this world are the 12 tribes of Yasharaal. And the only way for anyone to survive, because in order to get the digital things, the digital currency, you're going to have to go and do their bidding. Whatever it is they tell you to do, talks on, what have you. Okay? And if you're awakened by Ha'olah Yawan, who is the highest, you will know better than to go and submit yourselves to the beast empire. But you'll be faced with, okay, what will I eat? What will I drink? Where will I live? Because they're going to come and take things away. You have no idea where your next meal is coming from. And that could be a very scary thing living in this world. Depending on which part of the world you're living in. If you're living in those cities, of course, you have to fear, because your dependence is on supermarkets. But if you live in the country, I'm sure some people grow their own food. Or you could find things growing on trees. May not be much, but it's sufficient to keep you until you're regathered. It's not going to be very long. However, whenever this thing rolls out, it's only going to last 1 month, 30 days. So if you have to eat berries for 30 days and drink water from a stream, bless it and give thanks and not murmur and complain like our forefathers. If you have a pound of flour in your cabinet, bless it, and he will cause it to multiply, and it will last you for the full length of time that you're still here before you're regathered. Don't murmur and complain. Now that's one way things can roll out. The second way how things can roll out, because we know that they're patrolling the skies. That's why people are saying these UFOs, these unidentified flying objects, and they're claiming there are chariots and stuff like that. They've been seeing them more and more these days. And now the governments are coming out and saying, oh yeah, there is such a thing now. Before, people were seeing them and they were calling them conspiracy theorists. I remember the conspiracy theorists. I remember in one of my videos I call it controversy theorist. No, it's conspiracy theorist. Or you're wearing a tinfoil hat, right? When in fact they were experimenting with their new technology. And I've said this and I'll say it again. The technology that you see today is nothing compared to what they have. The technology that they give us today is at least 50 years behind the technology that they currently have. All right? So don't think that this technology is new technology to them. It's not new to us. It's new because we have not seen a lot of the things that they have. They do things in secret. They have their underground labs all over the world. Deep, deep underground labs. And in mountains, they've carved out mountains where they build their spaceships and whatnots. And then they bring them out and fly them around the air to test run them. It's like a test. A test drive, not test run, test drive. And then people see them, of course. There's always someone awake. And they will see them. But it's easier to call that person crazy than to alert the population that yes, there is something flying in the sky, especially back in those days when a lot of people would not comply and submit to the lies and deception. People were able to think for themselves back in those days. But today people are all now believing the narratives that are given to them because a lot of people are under their spell. Okay. So the one thing that I can see happening as well, that could be another way of the woman being pursued, is that just before we are taken, that they somehow would try to prevent it. They would send their troops. And remember, these people are dealing with a lot of AI, artificial intelligence. And they can and will use this artificial intelligence to try to pursue us, to prevent us from being taken up. Because the only people that will come out when this event of the sky turning black and then this bright light, this glory coming with clouds, and the son of Allahayam coming in the clouds will be our people, the ones that will be regathered. And that will be the high time to send their robotoids out to stop us. All right? Whether on ground or using their flying machines. But what's going to happen, and I believe most of them will be on the ground more so than in the air, because the earth is going to open up her mouth and swallow them up. The earth is going to open her mouth and swallow them up. Now we use that as a analogy to speak of people on the earth that will, combat this, whatever the devils are planning. But it could be literal too. The earth could literally open up and swallow whatever the enemy is sending out after us. And this has happened before. Remember Korah and Dathan that spoke out against Masha and Ahawaran? What did the Most High do to them and 250 leaders of Yasharaal? What did he do with them? Did he not cause the earth to open up her mouth, to open up and swallow them and everything that they own, including their children, their wives, whatever, everything? Swallow them up and then close up again? There are many times that the earth was used to swallow up. There was another time when the children of Yasharaal, this was during the time before Masha came and delivered the 12 tribes from Goshen. And when Parao sent the midwives to, he gave them an instruction and told them, any male children, destroy them, but the females let them stay alive. And the women, and you will not find this in the Bible, but you will find this in the Apocrypha. I think it's the book of Jasher, or yes, it would be the book of Jasher. The women would go in the fields to give birth and leave the baby there, and leave their babies, especially if it was a boy child, they will leave the child there, the newborn baby boy, in the fields. Because in the fields, you have the wheat or whatever vegetation is being grown will be covered to hide what they were doing there. And you know what the father did for those babies that were left there? He instructed them to leave them there. Yes, he did. The earth opened up and received these babies and kept them. Caused their hair to grow long so that it would comfort them. They would use their hair to comfort them. And the angels gave them 2 stones, one in each hand. One stone produced milk, the other stone produced honey. Now ain't that something? Milk and honey. Richness and sweetness, just like the land of Yasharaal. Land of milk and honey. And these babies were kept in the earth and nurtured there until there were toddlers. Then the land opened up her mouth and let them out, and they went to their homes. All these boy children. All right, and so don't discount the fact that the earth itself can open up its mouth and swallow up whatever robotoids or whatever it is that is coming after us. And the option 3 is a combination of both. Persecution, because we can't use our money. We can't get things out of the supermarkets. That's what I'm saying to you guys. Get out of the cities. Those major cities, they're death traps for our people. Get to a place where you know if you can't get to a supermarket, you can still have food. Either a place where you can plant a potato. One potato can give you 50 pounds of potatoes. And potatoes are nutritious. Don't worry about what the foolish people, health gurus, or whatever they call themselves. Don't worry about what they say to you about potatoes. Both English potatoes and sweet potatoes, they're all good for you. And if that's all you have to eat, there are many ways that you can use a potato. Bake it, fry it. But once you give thanks and praise the Most High that you have food, know that it's only for a short period of time. Just don't murmur and complain. But get out and get to a place where you don't even need a big piece of property. You don't need a lot of land to grow enough food for you and your family, or maybe a few friends that may be joining you. And this is a time when we need to be together and help one another. Come on. You may have the resources, the financial resources to go and buy a small piece of property because you've sold your fancy apartment in the city, and you go buy this, small piece of property with a small house on it, and it still has room that you can allow a friend who is not as well off as you are to come and share it with you. Get a tent. We're living in the last days. We don't have 5 more years here on this earth. We don't even have, well, I'm not going to give you a time, but I know we're going to be out of here very soon. So it's not about you having a savings account to be able to retire and have an income. No, you're supposed to be storing up your treasures in heaven. And how do you do that? If you can help another person or persons, help them. You come together and you grow the necessities. Potatoes. All right? Grow a little veggies, little tomatoes. They're easy to grow and they're hardy plants. There are things that you need to prepare because the persecution is going to come against us. And this is not to bring fear, but it is to awaken you to the reality of what is coming. It's not going to be we are in bed and then all of a sudden we hear this shout and we just get up and we went out. No, we're going to flee. That's why the woman flees. Satan doesn't want us to be regathered. So he's going to pursue us one way or the other with his armies. And he's going to start with the persecution first. And then he's going to escalate to us fleeing. But what are we going to flee to? We're going to flee towards Hamashiach when he sends his angel with a shout of the trumpet. But what you have now, consider it as nothing. Consider it as nothing. I know a lot of people, they hold dear their possessions, their house, their mortgage, their car, their career. And as you look around, you may not see much of anything going on, but that's the quiet before the storm. Don't be fooled by how quiet it may be at this moment. It's the quiet before the storm. These people are working behind the scenes. And only the things that they want us to hear, they let out in the media because they own the media. So they direct the media to say certain things to bring us into high alert or to desensitize us so that when they roll out, we're like, oh, okay. I kind of expected that because we've been hearing about it, just like the digital currency. We've been hearing about it and hearing about it and hearing about it. So one morning when you wake up and you realize all that money that you have in the bank, you can't get at it unless you have, you've transferred your cash into digital currency by adhering to the rules that they have, where you have to go and apply to the banks in order to have or get access to your money. And in order for you to apply to the banks for your money, is that you're gonna need a digital ID. And without a digital ID, you can't make any application for anything. So now, okay, so what do I need to get a digital ID? Oh, you need to prove that you've taken the toxin. You know what I'm talking about when I say toxin, the devil juice. All right? You got to prove that you've done that. All right? And especially knowing that they are going to come out with they're going to come out with a new outbreak. They've been hinting at it. So now the old toxin will be replaced by another toxin. But they will still encourage you to take the old toxin to double protect yourself. Just like what they say about the influenza one. All right? They tell you, oh yeah, if you take that, that, and that, you will be triply protected. Plus all the extra stuff that they've been wanting to give us. Anyways. So that will be rolling out. They're not done yet, you know. You know when they'll be finished? When Hamashiach comes on the scene and destroys their kingdom. That's when it will be finished. But until then, they're going to keep rolling out their agendas to try to destroy as many people on this earth as possible. Many people. But in the meantime, the southern kingdom they will have to face one more event or series of events leading up to their regathering. It's not going to be a walk in the park. No, it's not. Because this is the final sifting to see and to prove what is in our hearts. And then once we are gone, then the northern kingdom, the devils, the beast empire, and the beast emperor, who is the anti-Messiah, will then turn their attention to them. And I've already explained all about what's going to happen to them in previous studies. And there's a reason why he made me do those studies, so that we don't have to spend lengthy amount of times in the actual book of Revelation. But if we break them up into, not too lengthy, not too short, but with the information that is coming, it is so, the information is so profound that you can't capture it all in one study, in one lesson. Now, why I started off saying all of this, I guess I've been wanting to say this to our brethren for a very long time now, as I watch and see what is happening out there amongst the brethren and in the world. Not too concerned about the world, but I'm concerned about our brethren, that we are still too consumed with this world and the things of this world, that we're not taking heed and we're not doing the things that we need to do to prepare ourselves for what is coming. And if we're not prepared, we're going to fail and we're going to perish. And instead of going towards the light, we will run and hide in the darkness because of the darkness in our hearts. And to say, well, when that time comes, I will change. Once I see it, then I'll change my mind. But for right now, I can't believe it because it is a hard thing to believe, or it sounds impossible, or whatever the case may be. But I am telling you that when it happens, you're not going to have time to have a change of heart. All right? You're not going to have time. The only thing you have time to do is to go and hide. And that's going to be so instinctive because you don't want to see the light. And you don't want to see who is in the light. So I'm going to call this the introduction to chapter 9. I'm going to keep it separate from the actual book itself, because it is talking about what's coming, talking about the southern kingdom, and warning our brethren to wake up. Wake up. If you're sitting under teachers that are telling you you can continue living and doing as you are, that when the time comes, because you are of Yasharaal, you'll be fine. Well, that person is lying to you. You're not fine. He said Hamashiach said in his word that be careful. Otherwise, when this event occurs, it will catch you unawares. Now, I'm paraphrasing. Meaning, or there's another scripture where he talks about you being sleeping. He comes and finds you sleeping. Meaning, he comes and he finds you not ready. You're in a stupor. He's not talking about literal sleeping. He's talking about you being the wool pulled over your eyes and you're blind, deaf, and dumb. You are in a coma, a spiritual coma. And you cannot do anything except to go and hide. When you find the strength to move. Because some people will be so paralyzed by the fright of it all. But when they find the strength to move, then they run and hide. And the end result for all those people that are hiding in darkness, they're going to perish. They're going to perish. The Most High is going to strike them down. He's going to plague them. Plague every single one of them. Our southern brethren. All right. So with that, I am going to say shalom. And my caution to you is, do not think that you have tomorrow. Do not put off for tomorrow what you can do today. Hard times are coming for the southern kingdom. Hard times are coming. And that's why he's moving out his people to various locations that may seem a bit isolated. He's causing us to shed Babylon, to shed the luxuries of living under this beast empire that have been fed to us for generations. Because once you shed the luxuries, the delicacies of this evil kingdom, now you're getting ready to be regathered. Because you cannot love Mammon and the Most High as well. You love one and you hate the other. And the southern kingdom is not coming out with substance. That's for the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom is coming out with just the clothes on their backs. That's it. Nothing else. Not even a backpack. Not even a pair of shoes. Because where we're going to stand is going to be holy. The chariots are all going to be holy with the fire of Allah Hayam. So we're not going to need shoes. Where in the Bible have you ever seen or heard the angels wearing shoes? Why do you think he told Masha when he saw the burning bush to take off your shoes? For the ground which you stand on is holy ground. Because the bush that was burning, even the roots that extended to where Masha was standing was holy. It was the glory of Allah Hayam that came down like a fire. And it burnt the bush, but without it being burnt. It wasn't sizzling. And that's what made Masha curious. And that's when the voice spoke and said to him, take off your shoes, for the ground on which you stand is holy ground. The roots of the tree extended all around the tree. And wherever the tree extended its roots, made the ground holy. And Masha had to take his shoes off to draw near to the tree, the burning bush. It's probably like one of those little shrub trees, they call them. All right. So when the southern kingdom leaves, only the clothes on their backs. We don't need shoes. You don't need a backpack. You don't need things. You don't need anything. All things will be provided for us where we are going. The northern kingdom, on the other hand, when they leave the countries that they have been dispersed to, they'll be leaving with great substance. Because all along the way, they'll be gathering stuff left for them. Cattle and possession, substance, wealth, silver, gold, you name it, will be left for them. And they'll be gathering them all the way to our land. They're the ones coming out with great substance. Because they're going to need it. By the time they get to our land, the land that was cleansed by the 2 witnesses, that was one of the chapters we looked at, will be desolate in the sense that all the buildings and every structure that was once there will be removed, destroyed and swallowed up by the earth. So there'll be no tall standing buildings, no highways, no byways, no nothing. But the Father will have his own dwelling places for these people. And he will cause the very same garden that has been leading them, it was like the garden of Odan, that was leading them all the way into the land of Yasharaal, will settle itself there. So when it was once desolate, will now become like the garden of Odan, that land, the land of Yasharaal. Will become beautiful once again. So they don't have anything to worry about as long as they follow and they obey Allah Hayam. They have to go through something too. We've been going through it for generations, thousands of years. And our time is drawing to a close. There is going to be very painful, excruciatingly painful, and at the same time, it's not going to be as long as how we have been persecuted. We've been persecuted for a very long time. Theirs is going to be short and extremely terrifying. And I'm sure it's not going to feel like only 3.5 years. But they have to go through it because they're coming from a lot of pagan worship. And he's going to sift them fast. And even the ones that make it through the war against that NWO empire, even those ones will be sifted again by the trumpets. The last 3 seals and the 4 trumpets. That's what's going to sift them like wheat. Because there are going to be some weak ones in their midst. Their strength carried them through the war and the great earthquake. So let's see how they will operate once they begin the exodus in the wilderness and they run out of food and water. And they start seeing the fire and the hail and the blood. What's going to happen to them after all the other things that they've been through? They were able to hold on. Are they going to be able to hold on now? There are going to be some that will not be able to hold on any longer. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be excruciating for them. Because it doesn't stop at the beginning of the Exodus. The beginning of the Exodus now is another level of sifting for them. They need to persevere now for the next 4 judgments. He will provide for them. He will protect them from the enemies. But he can't protect them from themselves. That's the sad problem. It is not the enemy that is going to do this to them. It is themselves. They're going to want to preserve their lives. They want to go and search for water. That was not his command. He said, follow me. Stay with the flock. You may be thirsty for a day or 2, but I will not cause you to die of thirst. But what was deeply hidden on the inside of them will rise up to the surface. And it's that darkness that will cause them not to trust in Elohim anymore, because we thought that this was it. That we're saved and we're preserved forever and we don't have to go through anything more. And now look what happened. We ran out of water, and on top of that, the little water that we find in the ground is blood. They're not going to want to trust him after that. So they're going to go off on their own. And the others, they're going to remain. So with every judgment that comes from the 4 trumpets, more and more people are going to move off, move out, and move away on their own. And the number of the northern kingdom is going to start dwindling. But that's okay, because he intended for it to happen that way. Because only a remnant will be saved. And those ones that go off on their own, obviously they're going to perish. That's what's coming. And if you think that you can hold on to a man's word or man's doctrine or man's ministry to be able to make it through, come on. Our forefathers saw the miracles and they were able to hold on, not even to those, because of the lack of faith. No man can preserve you, and you cannot hold on to another man's faith. Now, mind you, anyone that's teaching you such a thing is lying to you, because they don't have any faith. They don't have faith for themselves, furthermore, faith for you. You need to find your way and to find the faith that he has waiting to bestow upon you, so that when these things begin to happen, It will not take you by unawares, and you'll be able to remain steadfast and walking in his commandments without fear. Completely trusting in him no matter what. You be like Job. Though you slay me, yet will I what? Praise you. This is what he's looking from his people, that will have a heart speaking praises with their mouths from their hearts, because they worship him and they trust him with their lives. That's what he's looking for. A worshipful people. Not a people that just want substance and want things and positions and power. He doesn't care about those things. But we do. We want those things. We want a name for ourselves. But people such like that don't belong in his kingdom, because they will just come and corrupt other people in his kingdom. So he's weeding out those kinds of people. He wants us to submit to him and to him alone. Only him. And on top of all of that, he wants us to believe in his son, Hamashiach, Yahawashua or Hamashiach, and what he did for us on the stake. That's what he wants from us. Okay. So with that, as I've warned you, this is a caution. Yeah, this is a caution. To be aware and be awake. Don't be sleeping and unawares. Be alert. Watch and pray. Fast and pray. No one has the full, complete answer to it all. No one. I'm searching just like how you're searching. He does not give us all the information at the same time. He gives it to us as he is ready to give it to us. If we are not able to handle certain precepts, he just doesn't give it to us. We're not ready yet. We're not mature enough to receive this information yet. And I know a lot of people will have a big problem with the way how I teach and what I teach. Some may even say, well, you're a woman, you're not supposed to be teaching. Well, tell that to the Father, because I'll be happy to find, if I can find someone who's giving the truth, who's speaking the truth, I'll be more than happy to go and listen to them and hang up my hat. I said to the Father, I can't seem to find anyone who's speaking the truth. They may have 1% of truth and 99% of deception. I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not saying that I have 100% foolproof truth. But I know what I'm saying is truth. I know. I know. The devil doesn't want us to know the truth. He just wants us to always sit on in darkness and be in deception, because that's where he has full control over us. He doesn't want us to walk in the light. He doesn't want us to know the truth. The truth sets us free. Whom the Son is set free is free indeed. The devil has no control over you when you're set free from his lies and deception, sin and shame. And he's not returning for a people who is waddling in darkness. He is regathering only the people that are walking in the light, his light. There are many people out there say, yeah, I'm walking in the light, but it is artificial light. Listen to their language, how they love to curse one another. Look at what they do with themselves, how they're selfish, self-centered, and self-righteous. I've come across so many of our brethren, and they're every single one of them self-righteous and selfish. And I couldn't understand it. I said, what's wrong? Like, I am more than happy to help any and everyone, even if they're not of our brethren. I help people. I do. Why? Because it's in my nature to help. Can't stand to see another person hungry. So if I have 2 breads, I'll give them 1 and I keep 1 for myself. But that's not the nature of our brethren. They see you lacking, and they pretend that they don't know that you have a need. Been through that. And it wouldn't take anything out of them to say, hey, you know what? I know you're going through a hard time. Let me just help you. I don't have much, but I will do what I can to help you. Do you know how pleased the Father would be to see us loving one another and taking care of one another? But yet the same person that has the means to help another person is so selfish, and yet they want a heavenly inheritance. How can you expect to receive a heavenly inheritance when you don't even behave as if you're one of his own here on the earth? The heavenly inheritance is for his children. And anyone that is called by his name, they're the ones that are selfless and righteous before his eyes. Not self-righteous, but righteous before him and walking in holiness. They own nothing, and they don't want to own anything. So what they have, what little they have, they are more than happy to share with one another. That's the nature of Al-Hayam. Did he not give us his only begotten Son to die for us? Us as wicked people? And he sent his only pure, holy, and righteous Son to become sin for us, to take upon our sins on himself. And we don't even want to spare $1 to help one another. Unbelievable. We don't even want to spare $1 to help one another. Now, if that doesn't tell you the nature of that person is the nature of Satan himself and not of the Father, and yet you want to receive the kingdom inheritance? No, 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 no. And this is the reason why the Father is giving us plenty of time to get our act together. Plenty of time. So that when the time is over and he's going to divide the sheep from the goats, the sheep will be taken up in the chariots, the goats remain to be destroyed. You can't say to him, well, I didn't know. You can't claim ignorance. Every single person would know. And they'll be faced with their own selfish desires, their own unrighteousness, their own self-righteousness. It's gonna come to them like watching a television show. It's going to be right before their eyes, and they can't deny it. And it's too late to repent. There'll be no time given to them to repent. This is what's going to happen to our brethren. That's why the scriptures say that none will be left behind. He's not leaving any of our brethren behind, whether of the southern kingdom or the northern kingdom. The southern kingdom, he's going to destroy the rebels, and the same thing with the northern kingdom. None of our brethren will be left behind to bear the rest of the judgments, especially the vials. He's not giving them any more opportunities to repent, especially those of the southern kingdom. Why? Because we had thousands of years to get it right. So he's not going to give them any more days, any more hours, not even any more minutes. Once that sky goes black, that's it. Time's up. When he shows his face on this earth, when his glory comes, they'll be hiding. Time's up. There'll be no time to repent. And even though you're hiding, you're still going to see him. Because a wall and a roof is not going to hide you from him. He's going to show himself even inside the houses. That's the power of his glory. Remember, he said he's coming with great power and great glory. So if you think you can hide behind four walls from his face, you're going to see him even when you're hiding. That's why even the dead in the graves are going to see him. The ones that pierce him, they're going to see him all the way back then. No eyes will miss this event. Okay. And I've kind of concluded several times already. But this is a very important information, important message. actually, for our brethren. Warning you. This is a warning. Started out by talking about the last 3 seals and the 4 trumpets. I went into the southern kingdom, the northern kingdom. Don't be deceived. Do not be deceived. All right? It's not going to be a walk in the park when he is regathering us. And that's why I keep warning you over and over again. Walk in the commandments of the Most High. Celebrate his Shabbat. Celebrate it the way how he instructed us to celebrate it in the Bible. Do no work on Shabbat day. Yom HaShabbat. Day of the Sabbath, the Shabbath. Shabbat. I want to say Sabbath and Shabbat at the same time. Okay? Hold fast to all the commandments that he said to hold fast to. And he's given us enough to go on. That we can't say, well, we didn't know. He has given us more than enough to go on. Enough. Even like our language. So that we can figure out his name. And his correct titles. Enough so that we can figure out when the Shabbat falls. On what day, in what month. He gives us enough to go by. So that we can't say we didn't know. He doesn't expect us to go and do sacrifices. We don't have a priesthood. We don't have a temple. We don't have a place where his name is recorded. We don't have a high priest. We don't have any of those things. But we have them all in HaMashiach. So there's no excuse. None whatsoever. And little that we do, he is going to reveal more. Right? He's not going to give us more when we're doing nothing. But if we are fervent in our hearts to obey him and his commandments, the little that we do will take us to more. And he's going to reveal more and more. All along the way. And that's why you call it faith. By faith we are celebrating HaShabbat. By faith we're keeping his feast days. By faith we're obeying his commandments. By faith. We're not going to completely understand because we don't have anyone from Lawai, the tribe of Levi, to teach us the ins and outs of the ordinances and all the different things. We don't have that. But we have enough to go on, to go by, to get started. At least to be starting. We don't have to have it in fullness in order to do it. But this is the excuse of some of our brethren. Well, we don't understand the language, so therefore we don't know what his name is, and we don't have to worry about that. We can still keep calling him by the names and titles of the pagan gods. When that is not the truth. It's just that you're lazy in your mind, and you just don't want to be bothered. And it doesn't bother you to keep calling him JC or the L word or the G word. It doesn't bother you because, hey, I grew up calling on those names and titles. Even though you know that those are not the true names and titles of Allah Hayam and Hamashiach. But it's alright. Too lazy to go, to get on your knees, to pray, and to start doing your homework. You want everything to fall in your lap. Too lazy. What happens to the, what was it? He called it the lazy, the sluggard. Oh, you sluggard. Too lazy. Spiritually lazy. And that is sin. You don't want to know the truth. All right? It is so important to know the truth. And sometimes we have to go digging for the truth. Sometimes we turn up this, and we think, okay, well, this is it. No, keep digging. Do you know how long it took me to figure out his name? His true name? It took me years. I was calling him all kinds of other titles and names until he told me to learn the language. So I didn't receive it the first time I started digging. No, I was digging and digging and digging and digging. Same thing with Shabbat. Trying to figure out what day the Shabbat falls on. Figuring out which is the new moon, which is the full moon. All these things. It took so much time and energy and effort. But finally it paid off. Finally, he gave me the understanding. So all the things that you hear me teach are things that he has given to me after much praying and studying. Because I want to know the truth. I've been lied to by so many different people, whether they are pastors, preachers, teachers, it doesn't matter. I've been lied to by so many people all through my life. And you have to. Even in the school system, you've been lied to. We've been lied to. We've been lied to by even those people in governments above us. We've been lied to on every tier of life. And I'm just tired of being lied to. Just tired of it. So I started to search out the truth for myself. And the worst kind of lies are the lies by our own brethren given to us as truth. The worst kind of lies ever. And I fell into that trap many times. And then finally I said, enough is enough. I'm done. I'm not going to look to anyone to tell me what the truth is. I'm going to come to you. They claim they have access to Rawach HaQadash. Well, I have access too. I had access from the first day that I became a believer. In fact, he was with me even before I became a believer because he was the one who led me to that church to give my life to him. He was the one who spoke to me months before to tell me it's time to get myself ready to come home. He spoke to me. Not once, but twice. In an open vision. In 2 open visions, that is. So the same way he spoke to me, I can now realize that, hey, if I ask him a question, he will answer me because he's the one who is drawing me to him. I used to get my information from men, but it didn't make any sense. It just left me in confusion. I'm like, no. Let me just regroup here and come to you, Hamashiach. And that's all he wants us to do. It's one thing to have teachers that would lead you to Hamashiach, to Rawach HaQadash, that will give you direction in which to travel. But you have to get up and walk. You have to get up and dig. You still got to chew. But a lot of people, a lot of our brethren, they love regurgitated food because you don't have to chew it. You just got to swallow. But when you are with Rawach HaQadash now, when he's teaching you and guiding you and counseling you, you got to learn to dig. And you got to learn to chew. Because he does not give us regurgitated food to eat. He may start us off with milk, but that is quickly replaced by, okay, it's time for you now to start searching for the truth. I will teach you how to search, how to dig, and find the nuggets hidden in my word. And then you got to learn to chew it. Can't just swallow it whole. You got to chew it. Because you got to understand it. As you chew, you're understanding on the inward part. And it's transforming you on the inward part. Then it becomes a part of you. It's not just a word that you repeat, that you can quote. Like a lot of our brethren, they're very good at quoting scripture, but they don't live it. They can't, because it's not a part of them. So he teaches us to dig and he teaches us to chew. And then it becomes a part of us. Because that's our food. That's our spiritual food. Okay. I don't know who this was for. It's for me as well, to remind me why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this for my own benefit. But as he is teaching me, I would like my brethren to know what is coming. So with that, this is the last time I will say, this is the end. And what I will do now is say the blessing for Yasharaal from Debarayam, chapter 6, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 24 to 26. Yabarakak Yahweh wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Ya'ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yachanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasha'ar Yahweh panayo alayak wa yosham lak shalom. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And with that, I say shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High. Abaya.